I'm Stacy Goggins, and I am here to start off our summer series of homemade art. So we're really focusing on the word home in this series, and I just took the time to kind of break down each project, focusing on a different area throughout our home. So today I am in my entryway, and we're going to be looking at creating some shoe prints and shoe texture rubbings. This is where we kind of throw off our shoes, and this is our catch-all area. So that's where this project was derived from. Here is a list of some of the supplies that you are going to need. Shoes, these can be any shoes, yours, your brother's, sister's. Just make sure you have permission to use them. They do need to be clean on the bottom of them. So if you need to wipe them down before we begin, I would definitely suggest doing that. You can use one pair of shoes for this project, or you can have a variety of them. You will need some paper, a couple of sheets. It can be plain white paper, it can be recycled paper, whatever you have to do your prints is fine. Need some crayons. You also need a paintbrush and then some tempera paint or washable. Just that is the most important. It just needs to be washable paint for this project. And then as extras, you may want to have some scissors and glue if you want to take the project to the next level. So to begin, I went through and just grabbed a couple of my shoes that I liked their prints on the bottom. So you can be choosy if you want, if you have a variety. I did just go through looking at the different textures that my shoes might make. That's how I determined what shoes I was going to use. If you just want to use what you've got easily available, that is fine. But I wanted you to be thinking about that as you're going. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is just doing the texture rubbings. For that, you're going to need just a plain piece of paper. You'll need some crayons, and then obviously your shoes. For this, if you're a younger student, or if this is just your first time ever trying texture rubbings, you may just want to focus on actually creating the textures, not necessarily about a composition. So if you take your shoe and you hold your paper, and I've already started a few of my texture rubbings on here, but if you hold your paper directly over the area that you would like to create your print, and then you're going to need your crayons. Now, markers don't work really well, so I highly suggest doing your texture rubbings with crayons. And then you simply just create a rubbing of this texture. And you can select multiple colors. You can do one color, but that part is up to you. And as you can see, your texture of your shoe will be revealed through the crayon rubbing. If you want to, you might want to do a test run and see about some of the prints that you really like. And then you can be thinking about creating a composition, maybe laying them out in a certain way or in a pattern. But this is really the first step to kind of understanding texture and creating that texture rubbing. Now, I love this. You can do texture rubbings with all different types of things, but shoes have some really, really cool prints on the bottom. So when you're ready and you've created your texture prints, or rubbings, you're ready to move on to create some prints. Now, this is where you're going to be using your paint and your paintbrush. What I did was I just used a paper plate to put my paint on. But if you have like an old magazine, if you have any like old, even foil works, anything that you can have as a surface just to squirt out some paint would work. And then you're going to need a paintbrush. You don't want this to be your very best paintbrush, and you definitely don't want it to be a really tiny paintbrush. So I've just chosen kind of a medium-sized flat brush for this project. And what you're going to do is you're going to take, and I already applied a little bit of paint so you could see, now for the bottom of my shoe, I didn't want this whole area, so I only applied the paint where I wanted to actually create the print, okay? So that's really important. It doesn't necessarily have to be the whole shoe. If there's just a certain area that you think would be interesting or create a really nice print, just put paint to that area. So you're going to dip your brush into your paint, and as you apply it, you really do not need a lot of paint for this. You just wanna make sure that you have those raised areas So even see how the paint got in the inside of that? That's not even necessary. You don't have to worry about trying to fill in all that, all those spaces, because our print is just going to pull on that raised surface. So just make sure you've covered every area that you want to create your print. And much as we did with the texture rubbings, you are going to take your paper and you're going to face it down on top of your paint. Now, one thing you do want to make sure is that once you have put your paper onto your shoe, you do not want that to move because it will smudge your print. So it's best if you work on a flat surface or even holding your shoe in your lap, and then just carefully rubbing your fingers around all of the area to ensure that you get a nice, even print. I just want to make sure. And the nice thing about using just washable paint is that it's not super thick, so you don't need a lot of it. And the other great thing, I'm just using copy paper right now, so it's fairly thin, but I can actually feel my print, my texture through the paper. So when I feel like I've gotten all of my area, then I'm just going to peel up my print. And you can see I had some red already on there from the earlier print. So I kind of mixed the colors in there. But that's a really great print. Now, what you can do at this stage, you can continue to just make random prints on your paper. And then later on, once those dry, you can cut those out and collage them into something new. Or if you feel like you have a really great hold on the printing, then you can go ahead and start arranging your composition. When we do printing in class, I always do practice just so that you kind of get the hang of the technique. But once you feel good about it and you're ready to move on, you can create an actual design. So I focused more on symmetry. In this case, even thinking about radial symmetry, starting from the center and working your way out. So for this print, using two different shoes, the Converse was the green one, and I was able to just kind of line up the corners. No, it's not perfect. I did not draw this out first, but just eyeballing it from the corners. And then I used another a shoe in the center, and I overlapped that to kind of create a flower look with leaves. Now, for all of these, I tried to give just some suggestions on how you could add to these projects. But if you're a beginner, just really trying the process in itself is a lot of fun. So I hope you've enjoyed it. This is our first project of homemade, and we were in the entryway. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Bye-bye.